The restaurant was silent. All eyes were on the young woman in a red dress. Her hands were trembling as the policeman tightened the cuffs around her wrists. "You're under arrest," the officer said. Ernest's heart pounded. Arrest? For what? Beside her, Oloche, the man who had promised her the world, sat calmly in his designer suit. But when she turned to him for answers, his words cut through her like a knife. "I don't know this girl," he said coldly. "She was just another one after my money." A gasp rippled through the crowd. Ernest's legs gave out beneath her. This couldn't be real. This had to be a nightmare. But it wasn't. This was the moment her perfect world crumbled. Erne had always known struggle. Born into a poor home in Makurdi, she grew up watching her parents fight to put food on the table. Education was a luxury they could barely afford. But Peter changed everything. Peter, the humble mechanic with oil-stained hands and a heart full of love. The man who saved every naira to put her through school. The man who worked under the hot sun, fixing cars, dreaming of a better future for her. "I may not have money, Ene," he told her one evening, wiping sweat from his brow. "But I have love, and I have plans. One day, I'll build us a life." Ene believed him until she stopped believing him. Society had its own plans for her. Her mother's friends never stopped reminding her. "Look at Nneka, married to a banker. Look at Akum. Her husband just bought her a car. And you? Still following that poor mechanic." The pressure was suffocating. At first, she defended Peter. "He's hardworking. He loves me." But the more Ernest saw her friends living in comfort, the more doubts crept in. And then, Oloche appeared. The first time Ernest saw Oloche, he stepped out of a sleek black Mercedes, his shoes shining like they had never touched dust. His perfume was expensive, his smile effortless. He spoke like a man who owned the world. "I don't struggle." He had laughed when she asked what he did for a living. "Money comes to me." And money did come. Fast, in bundles. He took her to places she had only seen on Instagram, dressed her in clothes that turned heads, bought her gifts without blinking. "This is the life," she whispered to herself one day. It was easy to forget Peter after that. One evening, Grace, her best friend, pulled her aside. "Ene, something isn't right about Oloche. Have you ever asked him where all this money comes from?" Ene rolled her eyes. "Grace, must you question every blessing? Look at my life now. I have everything. I have everything I have ever wanted. Be happy for me for once now." Grace shook her head. "Not everything. You don't have everything, Ene." But Ene wasn't listening. Her eyes were on the future. A future where she was Oloche's wife, living in a mansion, never worrying about money again. She had no idea the future had other plans for her. On Valentine's Day, the evening was perfect. A five-star restaurant, soft candlelight, and Oloche looking like a king in his tailored suit. Anna felt like she had won until the doors burst open. The police swarmed in, guns drawn. "Oloche Omaga, you are under arrest for fraud, identity theft and cybercrime." Anna's heart stopped. "Fraud?" Before she could think, officers grabbed her too. "You are coming with us." She struggled. "I didn't do anything. I'm his fiancée. I'm innocent." And then Oloche delivered the final blow. "Fiancée?" He smirked. "I don't know this girl. I don't know her. She was just after my money." Annie was released 2 days later. The police found no evidence linking her to Oloche's crimes, but she had already lost everything. Her reputation, her dignity. Her mother, once eager to see her marry rich, couldn't even look her in the eye. Grace, though hurt, tried to comfort her. "You'll be okay, Ene." But the worst part? Peter was gone. He had moved on. His workshop was still there, his hands still covered in grease, but his heart no longer belonged to her. Ene stood outside his shop, watching as another woman brought him food, laughing at his jokes the way she used to. Tears burned her eyes. She had traded real love for fake riches, and in the end, she was left with nothing. Not all that glitters is gold. In a world that values wealth over character, many fall for the illusion of riches. But wealth without integrity is like a house built on sand. It will collapse. And this theory is a warning. Would you choose temporary luxury or lasting love? The choice is yours.